Hello guys, this is Cem Bolukbasi. I'm a professional F1 esports player, but also a real-life racer, and today I'm going to show you how to drive without any assist on F1 2020, because using driving assist in F1 games or in any game can be very helpful and make it easier for you, but the more assists you use, the slower your lap times will be. Driving without assists is one of the hardest challenges in F1. It requires a lot of practice and knowledge of the car. Let's find out how you can get rid of these additional helpers. Traction control is a very good aid when exiting corners. It prevents your car from braking out when you start hitting the throttle pedal. However, you will never reach the best possible acceleration because the assist will always slow you down a bit to save your car from spinning and oversteering. This is why you should try to get rid of the assist. Like all other options, you should turn it down step by step. Don't go from 100 to 0 help, or you will end up in frustration trying to improve way too quickly. The first thing you have to focus on with less or no traction control is the wheel. It must be completely straight when you start to accelerate. Even the slightest tilt will let your car brake out much easier than normal. However, not all corner combinations allow you to place your wheel in a straight line, which is why you have to be very careful with your throttle input in these sections. If you're able to control the wheel, you can start to learn how to work with the accelerator. It's important to not fully hit the pedal as soon as your wheel is straight. Instead, you must gradually increase the input of the throttle. Try to hit the pedal in a smooth and steady movement when you exit a corner. A good way to practice driving without this assist is to drive certain corners over and over again. Start applying little pressure on the first tries, then go for more and more throttle as you return. This is how you find the perfect acceleration you can apply without spinning your car. This technique is all about patience. If you push the gas pedal too early, you're going to spin. But also, don't be too late or your opponents will wave you goodbye. Practice is key to finding the perfect acceleration point for every single corner. Before you exit a corner, you must first enter it. Here's where another important driving assist comes into play, the braking assist. The braking assist helps you avoid locking up your wheels, but there are better and smoother ways to brake without it. Like you can't fully accelerate without traction control, you cannot fully hit the brake without the ABS. Otherwise, you're likely to lock up your tires and doing the torpedo. When entering a turn, make sure your car is in a straight position when you brake. Otherwise, you might slide into the corners and ruin your tires. I find the perfect technique to slow the car without ABS is trail braking. The faster your car goes, the more brake pressure you can apply. When you arrive at a corner with high speed like at Monza's turn 1, start braking at 100%. But as you get slower, release the brake step by step and apply less pressure. Keep in mind that braking less does not mean you will not slow down, but that you will slow down better and smoother. I think that Silverstone is the perfect track to work on your braking without ABS. Try to get used to not applying 100% brake pressure all the time. If you lock up your tires while arriving at a corner, apply less pressure on the next try until you find the sweet spot. An experienced racer never drives with an automatic gearbox in F1 2020 or any other racing game. The AI tends to do some weird shifting when you brake or accelerate, which is why you want to get rid of it. With a normal manual gearbox, you will be able to shift down faster when you arrive at the corners. This can save you time because you will be able to use the engine braking to slow the car down faster. It's important that you always know which gear you need to hit in order to drive a certain corner. You should also not look at the HUD to find out which gear you're at the moment. Using the manual gearbox also enables you to use short shifting. This means that you can gear up before reaching the acceleration's optimized RPM shift point, which can save you some acceleration, help you get better traction, less oversteer, and save some fuel. My advice, which is something that I also do by heart, is to memorize and count how many gears you need to shift up or down going into a corner, so you always know which gear you're using. This is how basically you learn to know which gear you're in without having to look at the screen. You're then able to focus on more important aspects of the race, which is driving. The racing line assist is a great helper, as we all know. It is the option I recommend turning off the last. If you're starting to learn a track, it will help you to find the correct braking points and the limits of the track, which is very important. And the ideal racing line, of course, is something the racing line will show you. But as soon as you feel confident on a circuit, you can start to work on your braking points and see if you can stop the car a bit later than the game indicates. When I started to turn off the racing line, the track felt kind of empty at first without the line. To get your braking points right, you must start to remember certain points in your environment where you start to hit the brake. This will form what I call your invisible racing line. Those points can be curbs, meter boards, trees, road markers, or whatever you like. However, don't use shadows as an orientation because they will change their position throughout the race. Turning off the assist in 2020, F1 2020, can be a big challenge, no lie. Don't disable everything at once because that will be too much to handle. If you want to practice driving without assists, I recommend going to a track in the game that you like and you know. Drive a hot lap with all assists on that you always use. Then you start to turn down the first assist, challenge your ghost, and as soon as you drive faster laps than he does, like that's when you know it's time to turn the assist further down or disable the next one. Beat your ghost, beat your personal PB, personal best. This is how I learned to improve my racing and to get the full realistic experience in the game. Now you're prepared to turn off all the assistant tools and assistant driving aids in the game. It's up to you now to practice and win the races. I will see you on track in F1 2020. Best of luck in your journey.